swag of a prize fighter. The antithesis of a firefighter. Arsonist, I'm a fire rider. Instant flame like a firelighter. So special with shows, I live out my flows. Can't walk in my shoes, can't purchase my clothes. Ice in my veins, but I never froze. Picture perfect, but I never pose. As a juvenile, I knew I bounced back. Got rated, had a plan to get my ounce back. Use cheese as bait, that's a mousetrap. Let me to the right person to pounce at. They selling dreams, I'm pulling receipts. Full force, we can't be beat. Got a dirty mouth, but the flow so neat. Keep your 2 cents, talk is cheap.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is, according to sources, Errol Spence Jr. is going to fight Keith Thurman at 154 pounds. The news has already been discussed several times, but this is our first time getting to it. Let's take a look. This is Michael Benson's Twitter. It says Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman is reportedly now being finalized as a non-title fight at super welterweight, expected to take place in April. So super welterweight's 154 pounds. As you're aware, Errol Spence Jr. has 3 titles at 147. So he will move up and have a non-title fight with Keith one-time Thurman, according to sources, which is Mike Coppinger, $12 bill. Assuming this source is accurate, what's your reaction to that fight?
All right. Not what I wanted. Not what I was looking for. But I understand the next move. If there is. If there's no way, right? Because, all right, let's keep it 100. Nobody is scared of nobody, all right? These guys are warriors. These guys are fighters. Nobody is scared of nobody. I think what it comes down to is that boxing has become a thing of numbers and not a thing of honor and legacy anymore, right? It's became a thing of numbers and money and stuff like that, right? And all right, that being said, it's time for a new era at 147. And they know. If they're not going to get it on, it's time to look towards the future. And the future is 154. You know, Errol, that's what he's looking at. I said this a long time ago. I done spoke to the guys. My sources say, my sources say that since one of the other Charlo brothers is moving to 168, the other Charlo brother is going to move to 160, and 154 is going to be open for Errol Spence. So this is why they're going to test the waters now at 154 with Keith Thurman right there, because that's the next move. What's Costa Zoo's son? The great Costa Zoo. What's his name? I think
Tim Costa.
Yeah, okay, yeah. His boy, Costa Zoo's boy, is gonna fight him, and I think that's gonna be the last. He wants to defend his undisputed, and that's the last time we're gonna see him at 154. I believe he's gonna move to 160. His brother's moving to 168, and Earl will go at 154. And this is what this Keith Thurman fight is all about, him moving forward. And then the belts are already going to be over there at PBC, and it's going to be for Boots to collect all those up, and Boots is going to be the next star. That's how I see it, with all the belts over there. But this is all I just to say. Moving on. This is what it is. It's moving on. We're moving on past 147. This is what this fight's about. Moving on past 47. It's not what we wanted to see. We all can agree. But boxing has to go on,
TV.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. Spence, it's gonna be an entertaining fight. Hopefully, we got the track star and we got Spence doing his thing. So this is clear sign that Spence is moving up, and probably moving on. And like they said, like it's been speculating, we could forget about the Spence versus TC fight. And I want to see what Spence could bring to 154, since there's a lot of killers in that division as well. And when the day's set, I can't wait for it.
I want to start off by saying the fight that I wanted to see involving Errol Spence Jr. and involving Terrence Bud Crawford was them fighting each other for undisputed. Now I see that there's a group of people who decided that they're riding with Bud, and there's a group of people who decided that they're riding with Errol Spence. I couldn't care less which side you're on. None of that matters to me. The only thing I care about is boxing. Everything I say right now is about to be based on objective facts about the sport of boxing. If you're a TC fan, seriously, if you're a TC fan, he was in the process of negotiating with Errol Spence Jr., pulled out of those negotiations to fight David Avanesian on a network that most people never even heard of. You were okay with that because of how much money he made, right? According to what he reported, which was 10 million. David Avanesian is a local level fighter, meaning he was never world champion. His biggest wins are old Shane Mosley, but he lost to Lamont Peterson, was knocked out in 6 rounds by Kavaliauskas, and Terrence Crawford sparked him out, and you all jumped up and down for it. Errol Spence fights Keith Thurman, and y'all are mad. Keith Thurman has 1 loss on his record to the great Manny Pacquiao, who was a legendary fighter. Some people argue Manny Pacquiao is the GOAT. Keith Thurman has 1 loss on his record, and it's a split decision loss to the great Manny Pacquiao, who was old, like Shane Mosley was old, except when Shane Mosley and Manny Pacquiao fought, Manny Pacquiao destroyed Shane. Kavaliauskas' best victory. Keith Thurman fights Manny Pacquiao, has a split decision with him, right? Loses the fight. But that's his only L. Avanesian was knocked out by Kavaliauskas before Terrence Bud Crawford did it. No one's knocked out Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman got 1 L. But not only does Keith Thurman only have 1 L, he has some really good victories. He beat Sean Porter before Terrence Crawford did it. He beat Danny Garcia. He beat Robert the Ghost Guerrero. He beat some solid names. He beat former world champions, meaning they weren't just local level guys holding local level titles. When they took a picture and they made a flyer for the Keith Thurman fight, those guys were holding actual world title belts, not something that said EBU, which almost sounds like a university name. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't fighting university champions. He was fighting world champions, Keith Thurman. So as much as people want to trash Keith Thurman, remember he's won every fight. I know we've seen Keith Thurman get hit with a body shot against Luis Collazo, double over, go to the corner. We've seen him get hit with a body shot against Jose Cito Lopez and looked like Jose Cito was about to get, but he survived that. He didn't look great against Mario Barrios, I will admit that. I think Keith Thurman has seen better days. But if Keith Thurman beats Errol Spence Jr., he's back. Like literally back. What argument do you have against Keith? He would have 1 L, would have just given Earl his first L, and can argue like, yo, I'm that dude. I've been that dude. I just needed to refocus. Who poses more danger, seriously? Keith, one-time Thurman, or David Avanesian? The guy who was local level knocked out by Kavaliauskas, and we seen Virgil Ortiz knock out Kavaliauskas. We seen Terrence Crawford knock out Kavaliauskas. I've never seen anyone knock out Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman's been in there with world level talent. So, like, again, talking strictly boxing, Keith Thurman's the better opponent than Avanesian.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is chess, not checkers. And what point have I always made to everyone? It's about who has the leverage at the end of the day. The person who is going to win is the person with the leverage. TC was playing the game like, I gotcha. I'm going to fight Avanesian, and then you're going to have to spin the block and come talk to me. And Earl's saying, all the belts are with PBC at 154. My stablemate, my partner, is going to move up to 160. I have inside information. I know this. So I'm going to get the jump at getting a title up there. And God forbid that Jermell loses to Tim Costa-Zoo, because Earl's going to have the chance to become undisputed, assuming that happens a certain way. Earl's been saying he can't make 147 forever. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be like, oh, whatever. Look at Earl's size and his frame. Y'all call him a weight bully, right? So you all call him a weight bully. You acknowledge that he has to physically drain himself to make that weight. He said he wasn't going to stay at that weight forever. So now he's moving up to 154. TC now either is going to have to fight the remaining dogs at 147, which are Jerron Boots Ennis. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but I hear people who sound like casuals saying Jerron Boots Ennis was a hype job because the last fight he had against a guy who had great footwork, who was on a 20-fight winning streak from a country that produces great fighters and still won every round. They say he's a hype job. Well, I'll tell you what, demand TC fight that hype job then, because I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Prior to that fight, Jerron Boots Ennis had only gone 6 rounds. Up 6 rounds is the maximum amount of rounds he'd ever fought his entire career. And he went 12 with a guy with great footwork, and he wasn't tired. And if you know boxing, I saw that guy do pivots, spin arounds, move. It takes exceptional footwork to do what that guy was doing. I'm telling you right now, there aren't too many people who got footwork like that. And everyone says, oh, well, okay, he went 12, which is a blessing, because what you see is a lot of times people don't go 12, so they don't know what their tank's like. Jerron Boots Ennis just went 12 with a solid fighter, won every round. People still mad saying he's a hype job. Whatever. I'm glad you think he's a hype job. Keep that same energy so when TC fights him, assuming TC would fight him. Because, again, you can't tell me David Avanesian's better than Jerron Boots Ennis, right? You can't tell me David Avanesian's better than Keith Thurman. And, again, this isn't me picking a side. This is me saying all this side picking is stupid. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Terrence Crawford does to David Avanesian. It doesn't matter what Errol Spence does to Keith Thurman. It's what they do to each other. That's the fight we want to see. But that's the fight we're not going to see because of all these games. And Earl's playing chess, and Earl said, I'm going to move up to 154, and now y'all say he's running for Crawford. Why is it okay for Crawford to do what's best for him when he decided to fight Avanesian on a network that wasn't even established? And it's good business for TC. But when Errol Spence decides to move up to 154 to put himself in position to get those belts, when Jermell Charlo leaves, you say he's running. You're not biased at all? There's no bias in how you're viewing this? At all. Seriously. These guys keep doing what's best for them because they don't want to fight each other. That's my opinion. For them to fight each other, they want to make bank. They want the advantage. And when they don't get what they want, they decide they're going to move on and do something else. The truth is they're stringing all you along because they know that you've already picked sides and they know that you're going to defend, and they're going to be like, well, we tried to spin the block or spend the block, however you want to type it. Don't matter to me. But they're going to be like, oh, we tried to spin the block, but I blame him. I blame him. Everyone's going to go to their camp and they're just going to fight someone else. Meanwhile, you're never going to see the fight. So to me, Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence Jr. isn't the fight that I wanted to see, but it's a fight. I'm interested in seeing what type of undercard they're going to put together. But I'm telling you, this is what happens in the sport of boxing. Errol Spence now is sending a message to TC. And that message is, you better agree to fight me. You better agree to fight me before I exercise my next option, which is fighting for titles at 154.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros. Sure, we can make these two guys fight. You know what I mean? Make these two guys fight.
I just thought of something. What if this, say Earl gets his hands on the WBO title at 154. That would mean if TC wants to move up, he's going to have to fight Errol Spence anyway. And Errol Spence is going to be entitled to the lion's share because he's going to be the one already holding that belt. Again, chess, not checkers.
Boxing Bros.